Hey Zwifters, Eric Schlingy with Zwift Insider here with a race review from this week's Zwift Racing League, Week 5 on Richmond's Cobbled climbs. Just a little bit of context though before we get into the actual event. The first is where my team's at in the overall rankings. I'm riding with the Dirt Roosters this week. I've actually been swapping between two different dirt teams this week as they need me, but the Dirt Roosters were in the EMEA North Division 5 of the Bs, so the B5s, and we really only have one team that's our competition. You can see the rankings here before the race actually happened. We have our competition in the IRL Green Titans. We're only 2 points ahead of them. We are standing in first place, which is great, but the Titans are nipping on our heels, and we've pretty much distanced everybody else. As long as we keep turning in decent performances, we don't need to worry about the other teams. So that's the first thing to keep in mind going into this. The second thing to keep in mind is this is a butt kicker of a race. Oh, the chatter on social media going into this race, all the racers are just dreading how hard this event is going to be. It's almost 30 miles, almost 50K, and it's hilly. This is what the profile looks like. And you can see, this is basically the way I saw the race playing out for myself. I'm going to recover on that big descent at the beginning. Libby Hill is the only place I get dropped when I race in Richmond. It's always on Libby. I think because legs are fresh and that's where the climbers go their hardest. So for me, Libby Hill is all about just hanging on, staying in contact. And then usually 23rd Street. Next is the one that I can sprint. It's the shortest. And I can usually sprint, and I can usually even make up a few places there. Then there's a little bit of recovery on that next descent, and then it's Governor Street, which is usually just kind of a long, slow slog. But usually I can hang in and just keep steady power, not lose places there. So that's the way that the route shakes out for me. But my plan going into this was just to try to stay in the front group as long as I possibly could. I wasn't sure about my prospects for doing that. I figured the front selection would be a pretty elite selection. I figured anywhere from 5 to 15 riders would make that front group. Wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it, but our plan as a team was to get as many riders in that front group for as long as possible because we could get a lot of intermediate points that way. And of course, if you're in the front group on the finish, you get the finish points too. So there's your context. There's our goals going into the race. Let's get into the race. I didn't anticipate a very hard start to this race because I figured that everyone else would know that the big moves would be happening on Libby Hill and the other climbs that would follow in the first lap. And I was right. It was really just about sitting in on this flat section and the first descent that would come. Everyone wanted to keep their powder dry for the Libby Hill carnage that was just up the road. In the spirit of trying to conserve as much energy as possible, and also just to stick it to the UCI man, I tried the Super Tuck, this East Main Street descent, every lap. It's a tough one to Super Tuck because it's not quite steep enough to really give you the speed you need, so if you're with a hard charging group like I was here on the first lap, you're probably better off just pedaling, kind of soft pedaling, hanging with the pack. That's what I ended up doing. Everything stayed pretty sedate until we got to the beginning of the Libby Hill KOM. You can see as soon as we cross the line here, numbers just start to explode. You can see I ratchet up my wattage, and I've got the van power up, which really isn't terribly useful here. Best place to use it is probably right around here when your speed is still up, which is why I use it here. You'll also see the helmets being used, because really those power-ups work best at high speeds. That's when they save you the most wattage. Now I knew that this was where the big key selection was going to happen. So I was willing to go all in. I was willing to blow up, essentially, to give everything I had to try to hold on to that front group. So that's what I'm doing here. We had guessed that we would need about 5.5 watts per kilo in order to hang with the group up Libby Hill the first time. That was not the case. It was more like 6.5 to 7 watts per kilo if I look at my average wattage. It was horrendous. And you can see the group is just splintering here. I'm in 20th place. There's a whole lot of riders behind me. Everything's strung out. And you can't hear my audio, but I am dying. In fact, here's what it sounds like. If you're wondering what all that noise is in the live audio, that's what a Wahoo Headwind fan sounds like when it's going at 100%. And that's what I was going at, was 100%. I was on the limit. Got to the top here, you can see the race is strung out now. I'm in 18th, 19th place. Everything's going crazy, and at this point, it's just survival mode. I know that the selection is happening right now, that there's going to be a front group here of anywhere probably from 10 to 20 riders who are going to ride away and never come back. And the question is, am I going to be able to get into that group? I still don't know. I've used my drafting boost, already used up that power up, and now I'm going to super tuck on this little super steep section, try to catch my breath, hammer up the 23rd Street climb, which suits me decently because it's only about 35 or 40 seconds, so I can usually hammer it, basically sprint climb it, and usually grab a few places. I'm going to hammer this climb right here, try to grab some places, and then recover on the descent afterwards and take my bearings, see where I'm at. But as you can see, the front of the race right now isn't even over this KOM yet, so I'm not that far off. 15th place, 12th place, 9th place. I feel like I've got a chance, so I'm still giving it everything I have coming over this top. As I super tuck Sagan style down this road, I have a chance to kind of take my bearings and see where we're at. I've got a couple of small groups up the road, but I've found myself in a pack of 5 riders representing places 9th through 14th, which means there are only 8 riders up the road. And just behind me, you can see 1 or 2 seconds back, there's a Green Titans, one of our rivals. There's actually another one just a couple seconds behind him. So this is a great time to push. We have no Titans in this group of 5, and I've got 2 of my riders here in this group, and the front pack just up the road. So we need to put in a dig. My teammate Juice, you can see he starts hammering on the front. So do a couple other riders in our group. And actually really quickly, as the road starts to tilt up here onto the Governor Street climb, you can see that it all comes together. We've got a front group of 12 here now. And I was hoping that it would stay this way, but you'll see in a second we get caught by a couple others, and that becomes the front group for the race. Now we've gone through the start-finish banner on our first lap, and we're on the recovery portion of the second lap and kind of looking around, taking our bearings. We've got 4 of the Green Titans in this front group and 5 dirt guys, so it's still pretty close. We're still very much in competition with the Titans, but we're in a good spot. 5 of our 6 riders made the front group. Now it's a question of who is going to be able to hang in for the next 4 laps. This is going to be an endurance challenge for sure. Here on the second time up Libby Hill is where I make my crucial mistake of the race. Now, I started this climb in a pretty good spot. I was up near the front, but my mistake was I underestimated how hard the pack was going to be attacking here up Libby. I didn't have a good power up, so that didn't help. But you can see as we hit this crucial left-hand turn, the pack is full of feathers, and you can see them just starting to fly past me. I'm going to let you listen to the real audio as you can hear the true sound of my demise. And that's it. There goes the front of the race. It's only a second or two away, but those 1 or 2 seconds feel like an eternity when you're already on the edge. That's me missing the selection right there. That's the front of the race riding away from me, and I will not see it again. As we finish up this second lap, I find myself in an interesting position. I've got a group of 5 riders now. A couple of them from the front group who've dropped off in the last couple of climbs, and a couple who caught me from behind. So the group of 5 has 2 Green Titans, who are the teams that we're marking right now, and 1 from the CVCC team. Now, in the front group, we know because of Discord that there's only 1 CVCC rider in the front group, and there's only 1 Green Titans rider in the front group. But there's 2 Dirt Team riders in the front group, both very strong guys. So we have the numbers advantage in the front, and that means in my mind I have no reason to pole in this group. So I'm just going to sit in. Briggs ends up doing a lot of work. You can see he's on the front right now, Briggs from CVCC, just hammering on the front. It's to his advantage to get back in that front group. It'll help his team out a lot. Same with the Titans. They're at a bit of a disadvantage, so they should be doing some work too. Me, it's not going to really help me at all to get to that front group, and honestly, I don't have the legs to do it anyway, so I wouldn't, even if it would help me, I certainly wouldn't be able to bridge up 30 or 40 seconds. But I'm not going to do any work on the front. Just going to sit in, let them do the work, and see where it takes us. And that's basically all the action that happened in this race. As I fast forward through these subsequent laps, our group basically stays the same. We've got a group of 5. Eventually 2 guys from the RAF team that are chasing are able to bridge up to our group, so we grow a little bit. But the pace is much more manageable in our group because there's no way we're catching the front guys. It's a bigger group and they're stronger riders. And we're not really being caught by the group behind us. It's not big or strong enough to really get us anyway. So we're just kind of sitting in, going hard up the climbs, but not super hard, and waiting for the finish. I'm going to skip a few laps because there's really nothing interesting that happens. But here we are at the finish. Just finished the final climb, Governor Street, and you can see that Briggs from CVCC is just up ahead of me. He's been the strongest rider in our group for sure. He's been on the front for most of the time, where I've just been sitting in. And you know what? I'm content to let him go. He certainly deserves to finish ahead of the rest of the group. And the other thing is the way WTRL's scoring system works is 11th through 15th place gets the exact same finishing points. We all get 20 points. So that means he's going to get 20 points as well as the 4 riders behind him. Of course, you still have to go. You still have to go hard at the end because it's a bike race. And you're just not allowed to coast in, even if it's for 12th place and you get the same points as if you were in 13th or 14th. So, I'm putting in one last little dig. all the way to the finish line. And we'll call it a day. 12th place for me. I'll take it. So there you have it. 12th place for me. To be honest, a little better of a result than I had anticipated on this kind of a course. But at the same time, I was kicking myself, second-guessing myself and thinking, could I have made that second time up Libby Hill? Could I have made that break if I had approached it differently? Maybe I had started closer to the front. Maybe I'd started hammering sooner. If the power-up gods had only smiled upon me this day and I had gotten a feather, could I have done it? I don't know. I'd like to think I could have, but you know how it is after a race. It all seems like maybe it was a lot easier than how it actually felt when you're in the middle of the race, right? So, in the end, 12th place, I'll be satisfied with that. But what was most important for me is our team, the overall team result, because remember, this is ZRL and it's the team result that matters. And the Roosters, the Dirt Roosters, my friends, got first place in this race. So I had two teammates, Ali and Tomas, who were in that front group, who killed it. Tomas ended up doing a TT effort, jumping off the front of the group and staying away for the final, I think, 2.5 laps. He ends up finishing 53 seconds ahead of the chase group. Chase group just couldn't get their chase together. Ali did a great job of kind of drifting to the front of the group sometimes and easing up, just like you do outdoors to try to slow that chase. And Ali was on Discord just communicating and telling everybody what was going on. Ali also got to sit in the wheels and rest up, relatively speaking, obviously, and really hammer the segments and get those first across the line and fastest through segment points. So Ali and Tomas cleaned up on those extra points. And in the end, all 6 of our dirt riders made it into the top 25, and that was huge. To have your whole team be in the top 25 of the race, you get a lot of those finishing points, which is super key. So great job, Roosters. Also, shout out to Team Arrow, who did an awesome job. They got second this week with a standout performance, I would say. And the Green Titans, who are our big rivals, they got third. And that actually helps us out a lot because that means that we get 2 more points than the Titans this week, which gives us a little bit more padding. So now we've got a 4-point lead on the Titans. So thank you, Arrow, for that. Thanks for the little bit of padding. And nice work, Titans, of course, as well. You guys are a super strong team. It's been a lot of fun competing against you guys in this season. And I guess with that, I'll just say thanks, everybody, for watching. Keep on racing. Maybe I'll see you out on a Tuesday. And ride on.